Creagan 12-year-old and 21-year-old blended malt Scotch whiskey from GaelicWhisky.com. Should these be on your radar? Stay tuned for the Whiskey Whistle. Greetings, my whiskey people. Mark here from Whiskey Whistle on YouTube, sharing a little whiskey awesomeness from Winnipeg, the center of North America. Bringing you a very interesting whiskey review. We have Creagan 12-year-old and Creagan 21-year-old blended malt Scotch whiskies. These are from GaelicWhisky.com. The company is called Creagan Limited, and they're located on the Isle of Skye in Scotland. Now, these are not that easy to get, but they're available here in Canada through Opimian. It's like a wine club. You can check that out. Other countries, not sure, but I know that they have some other blends that are available, and I think they're doing some interesting things. And I put this 12-year-old in a blind tasting with the Winnipeg Whiskey Club. That's the glasses I've got here. And a lot of people were very surprised with it. And some people thought that this was Springbank. So we'll get that poured. This is the 12-year-old. These are both 43% ABV blended malt Scotch whiskey. So these are all malt, a blend of single malts only. Here we go. Now I have to say, I think we've got some color added there. And I wish it weren't the case, but it is kind of a consumer product, like just for your everyday whiskey drinker. Okay, let's pour the 21-year-old. Look. There. Okay, so we got some nice pours. They're identical in color, and this is the problem. So definitely we have some influence of added external color coming from something called E150A, which is spirit caramel, which is used for coloring spirits. Okay, it's not caramel like the candy, but rather it is burnt sugar that is extracted with alcohol to get the color out. Okay, so we'll start with the 21, we'll start with the 12-year-old. We will smell it and taste it. We'll check the legs out of both of these at the same time. Okay, so let's check the legs out together. Super fast first legs. The 21's a little bit more showy. And the reason being would be that you have more extractives from the oak for 21 years than you do for 12. And you can see very clearly that there's a subtle difference there. At least I can from my vantage point. Okay, so let's get on to the Creagan 12-year-old blended malt Scotch whiskey. And we'll check the nose out together, the palate, and then the finish. Add some water, do it again, give it a whiskey score, and then we'll get into the 21-year-old. So stay tuned for that, all right? So on the nose, you've got all kinds of orchard fruits. Likely second fill or lower casks, and some of these might not be as fresh as they could be. There's some subtle mustiness, not a bad thing, but a little bit of mustiness. Apple, stewed pears, a little bit of blood orange, which is nice. A good dollop of peat here as well. Some ginger, straight up ginger, not candied, not pickled, but just ginger. Some white pepper. That white pepper is telling me that I think we have some Talisker added here. I'm thinking they're from the Isle of Skye. I've got pepper in this It stands to reason. And then I want to say it's got something like Cardew in there. Or something like Tom and Towel. And it may very well only be 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't think 5, 2, 3, or 4 malts blended together here. The palate follows through. Lots of pepper, bit of peat, orchard fruits, a little bit of that blood orange. Something astringent there that I don't like, and I think it's the color. Sorry to say, I'm a little bit sensitive to that. The finish is short to medium. But I'm enjoying this because it's very different from a lot of blended malts. It seems like most blended malts are seeking kind of like a regional flavor. Big Pete, obviously, seeking Isla. You've got Monkey Shoulder, very Speyside-y. Whereas this is very much a multi-region, very much a representative malt, blending malts of all regions, potentially. There could be, like I say, there could be 4 or 5 from all the regions here. Now with water, I detect something older, maybe as old as 17, 18 years. And there's definitely some worm tub malts involved here. The nose with water is interesting and good. The palate with water, not much has changed. But it's tasty. I like the peat. I like the pepper. The orchard fruits speak to me. Very nice. The finish with water is a little bit more prickly, a little bit more astringent, a little bit more enjoyable. So let's get on to the WhiskyWhistle Whiskey Score for Cullen Creagan 12-year-old. What is that going to be, folks? 82 out of 100. You heard it. 82 out of 100 is the WhiskyWhistle Whiskey Score for Cullen Creagan, 12-year-old blended malt Scotch whiskey from GaelicWhiskey.com. All right, interesting. Now, what you've been waiting for, the 21-year-old. Let's get into that, okay? Let's check the nose out together. And if you've tried either of these or both, please leave a comment. Please share this video with your friends. Let's see what people say about these. The nose on this 21-year-old is altogether more complex, more interesting, more varied, more pizzazz entirely. Chocolate. Some red fruits. Some zingy tropical flavors, like maybe like dried mango. A bit of papaya. This really smells very, very nice, and I'm really happy that I have this. It's quite good. It doesn't have as much peat, or the peat is just older and hence a little bit more fruity and less in your face smoke. It's fruity. It's a bit delicate. We've got some good spices. Some nutmeg. Ginger is still there. For sure, there is still some Talisker in here. Hints of peat coming at the end of the palate, trailing into the finish. That mango-like note is really interesting. A bit of coconut. A little bit of fig, a little bit of lychee. That's too much, just a little bit more. There we go. Remember, when you've got older whiskeys, don't add too much water. Start with a few drops, add more if you need. And I want to say this was around about $200 a bottle for this one. Maybe a little bit more. This is maybe a little bit less than 100. Okay, so like 80, 90, 210, 220 in that range. Now with water added, just more cocoa. Still very fruity. Some light pepper, but it's really aged well. And I've never had any Talisker above 18 years. So obviously we have some 21-year-old Talisker in here, and it's really different, interesting how that has aged. More spices. It's drier. Now to note, we don't have anything like leather in here or old bookshelves or what's the other thing? Those markers that tell you you've got something old we don't really have here. But the wafts of this well-aged peat is really adding to the fruit, and it's fruity in a way that your mind can't really grasp in a way. And on the front of this, all we have is Gaelic, so I have no idea what this says. Macnabrich asta era fazach. Leonard is a benachad. I have no idea. It's fun. This is so well blended though. I love the mix of flavors. Something salty, something smoky, something sweet, fruity, something tart, savory. It's all there. And this is especially excellent. And I think that you're going to enjoy it if you can find a bottle of this Creagan 21 especially. I might skip the 12 and go right to the 21. If you are just looking for something like an all-around blended malt, that would be very good, the 12-year-old. But anyway, let's get on to the WhiskyWhistle Whiskey Score for Creagan 21-year-old blended malt Scotch whiskey. What is that going to be, folks? it's going to be 89 out of 100. You heard it, 89 out of 100 is the WhiskyWhistle whiskey score for Colin the Creagan Blended Malt Scotch Whiskey 21-year-old. Deserves a little malt hug, and I'll blow it a kiss. Okay, pretty good stuff. I'm happy I have these, and I think my club is really going to enjoy the 21-year-old. I've got another bottle right over there. So guys and gals, folks from the Winnipeg Whiskey Club, you'll get to try that very soon. Stay tuned, and if you're watching and you've tried these, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, check me out on Patreon, patreon.com/WhiskyWhistle. Support the channel, get your name in the credits coming up, and you'll also get advanced viewership, advanced viewing opportunities of the future Whiskey Whistles. Last but not least, you'll get a WhiskyWhistle glass, Glencairn glass, when you've reached a certain threshold, okay? Take care, folks. This is Mark signing out. Goodbye, folks.